Hi, my name is Jamie, and I am a post-op transgender woman who didn't transition until she was 63 years old. I'm sure you're wondering, why did I wait so long? After all, I had 2 grown sons, 4 grandchildren, 3 college degrees, and a very successful 30-year career as a nuclear chemist. It was all because I was raised to believe that my gender identity conflict was just an illusion. You see, I knew I was different from the time I was 3 years old. But being born back in the early 50s, very few people had any idea what it meant to be born with a gender identity conflict, and my parents were no exception. I had wonderful parents who tolerated my gender expression, and that is until I was around 8 years old. And that was when my father decided to explain to me why I couldn't be a girl. Of course, I was devastated. How could a child at that age argue facts? So I promised him that I would try really hard to be who I was supposed to be. In order to make sure that I followed through with my promise, my parents enrolled me in home conversion therapy. Eventually they succeeded, and I became so ashamed of my gender identity that I refused to tell anyone that I had a problem. Trying to live in the closet with a gender identity conflict is like being buried alive in a coffin. The fear and hopelessness is so great at times that you start to look to death as your only way of escape. I hated the way I felt on the inside. I began to hate everything about myself. I became so disconnected from my body during puberty that I resorted to severely hurting it. I even developed eating disorders and tried starvation. I also tried to commit suicide twice while still a teenager. But eventually, I managed to enter the land of denial. What most people don't realize is you can't change your gender identity. Even in the land of denial, when things seem to be running smoothly, gender dysphoria can strike. And it's with such force that you literally want to jump in front of a moving car. I finally realized that I needed help, and so I went to see a psychologist. That's when I found out what it meant to be born transgender. And for the first time in my life, I realized I wasn't crazy. When they told me that the only way to be healed was to transition, I had to try. It was the scariest thing that I ever did in my life. Not because I was worried about the loss of everything and everyone in my life, but I was afraid of the humiliation that I would have to face, telling everyone that I'd lived a lie my whole life. The shame was still so overpowering for me. But I knew I didn't have a choice. My only other option was death, and I couldn't go there. So I came out and I transitioned. I lost all my job and my career. All my friends turned against me, and most of my family left me. But I also lost all my conflict and depression. Having to start over in life is never easy, especially when you're over 60 years old. But now I'm happy for the first time in my life, and that makes all the difference in the world. All my life I never understood what it meant to be born or what it meant to be LGBT. But today I personally know how real our conflict is and how important it is to be true to ourselves. Thank you.